Welcome back to OpenLine. We're talking about boating and fishing season. Have TWRA up here taking your questions. Several calls, so let's go to the phones. Let's go to Lucy. Hello, Lucy.
Hey, y'all.
Hi. What's on your mind?
I really do have an interest in boating, believe it or not, Mr. Hall.
Okay. All right, good.
And I have lost a friend that was an experienced fisherman, several, but, not this way, out on the Cumberland, under the dams. People, even though they're experienced, sometimes I think their mind just slips and it starts and they get sucked under when it starts to, what is it, generate electricity or whatnot. But anyway, my question, I'm the kind of person that these gentlemen fear. My question tonight, I have two.
Okay.
It's on rubber dinghies. I'm a dinghy kind of person, and homemade watercraft, about a 6-foot watercraft. I've tried to ask around about this because over the past few years I've been trying to make one, me and some other old ladies, and we're thinking about getting out on the lake with our homemade boats. And what are the rules and regulations there? And I've got a question also. There was a gentleman that drowned here a few weeks ago with his young son. Did he not have a rubber dinghy and not have a life jacket? What are the rules? I'll hang up and just take your comments off the air.
All right, Lucy, thank you. Thanks for your call. Several things there. What do you want to start with?
Just really quickly, I'll touch on the gentleman that drowned that she mentioned. He was in a canoe, and the weather got rough out on the lake, on Percy Priest Lake, and it turned the canoe over. He did have a life jacket there, but he wasn't wearing it, and his son and another gentleman had theirs on, and they survived. So that we are still, as far as a lot of people know, we're still searching for that gentleman. We actually searched last week for him again. And where we believe he is at is a very deep area, around 80 feet deep on Percy Priest Lake. It's just a difficult situation that she's mentioned there. As far as the
she's talking about homemade boats. Homemade watercraft is what Lucy said.
Yeah, making a homemade watercraft. I've seen it. People, if they build a boat, some type of a boat, and I know you put some registration.
Yes, I've registered quite a few of them over the years, everything from a large motor boat to a smaller one. But through our boating division, if you do make a homemade vessel, call boating, they will issue whatever county officer is to come out and inspect the vessel, and they actually issue the HIN numbers that go with it. That way they can get it registered through our regular license registry.
But it would need to be registered. It needs to be registered if they're going to use any type of mechanical power for it.
Or that be a small trolling motor or an outboard motor. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to put a motor on it, Lucy.
Yes.
You need to get it registered. How do they register? What do they do? They just, what do they do?
Contact the boating division in Nashville. We don't get a lot of those, but they will actually issue HIN numbers, kind of like a serial number.
That's
one
the
goes
whole
on the
identification
transom
number for the boat.
Yeah, it goes on the transom of your vessel, and then one for a confidential HIN, they call it, so you can have it if it's ever lost or stolen.
And this happens. People do this a lot?
Yes.
Okay.
People will take 4 55-gallon plastic drums, put wood across the top, and attach a trolling motor to it. It's a vessel.
It is.
Well, and that would be okay? I mean, if someone wanted to register that, you would say, okay.
Yeah, most of them I've seen, I've been some in Nashville where it's just, you can go online, homemade boat plans, and a lot of guys put a lot of time and effort into wooden boats and that type deal. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Lucy, there you go. Just get it registered. If it's going to have a motor.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Let's go to Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
Hi. Go right ahead.
Hey, I went to Old Hickory Lake this weekend, and I was wondering, when we camp out on the side of the bank, I have a concealed weapons permit, and I would like to know if my gun is allowed on the lakes and rivers with my permit.
Okay. What about
Yes,
that?
it would be, as long as he's got the permit for it. He just needs to be aware that if he's going to step out on the bank, make sure it's not private property. It's not someone's land he's getting on other than the Corps of Engineers or like a wildlife management area for us. So if he's going to camp around on a lake or be on a body of water, if you step off onto the banks, you need to make sure it's public property instead of private property. We have a lot of issues along some of our smaller rivers with people canoeing, like on the Harpeth,
Yes.
on the Red River up in Robertson County, people will think that they can just pull into the bank and get out, and they're on public property. They're not. They're usually on private property. So he's fine with the carry permit. Just needs to make sure he is on public property when he gets out.
Is there a way to know? How would
A lot of
one
times you
know?
can look at the tax assessor's, property assessor website, and you can look at, if you're going to float a certain section of the river, you can kind of go down there and look, okay, here's a piece of public land. I can stop there and get out with my family, and we can eat lunch, or we can just stop and rest and then be on your way. But that's about the only way for sure you would know, is to either know from someone who has already floated it, or get on a website and look at property owners.
That's probably a pretty big issue, because I bet
Yes.
people do just think that, okay, well, I can get out here.
Yeah.
I bet that's a big issue. When you're talking about the tragedy that you were dealing with just here recently, the drowning, the people that do drown, I think when they go out there, they probably think they're good swimmers, right? They know how to swim. In this other case, you said 2 people had a life jacket on, 1 didn't. If you're a good swimmer, what do you encounter that could be so deadly? Is there currents that we're not aware of? Do you think just the shock of hitting the water, and what happens maybe if people think I'm a good swimmer and I'll be okay?
I guess one thing would be talk about rivers. I mean, what would be the difference between rivers versus in a lake?
Well, with the river, and you're dealing with more current generated than, say, on a lake. But the years, just from my experience, the boat accidents I work with, fatalities, regardless if they may have had a life jacket on, but it needs to be on properly, whether it comes up, zips up, and snaps across. Because I've worked quite a few where they had it on per se, but it wasn't attached properly, and it comes off when they hit the water, or ends up coming off them somehow. So make sure if you if you wear a life jacket, it has to be attached properly. That's what we look for as well.
Because you've seen people just wearing it, not
Yes.
even attached, like just a vest.
Yes.
And what do you say when you see that?
Well, I'll see people like on a jet ski, and they or have a life jacket on, but if it's not attached properly, it's not on them per se. So I'll ask them if, like I said, we were talking earlier, do you have your life jacket on? They're like, well, I do. Well, if it's not attached properly, it's like having a seatbelt across you but not buckled, basically. It's not going to do you any good. So.
And I see, okay, Lucy's called back. Lucy?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Did you have
I
a
didn't get
follow-up
my
question
other
here?
question answered about the rubber dinghies. Are there like flotation devices required for those, or just a life jacket? And motor versus non-motor? Could you answer that, please?
The motor?
Yes.
I think, okay, well, go ahead. What about that?
Yeah, but she would have to have a life jacket on her, and if it's got a motor on it, she'd have to have registration on it.
But if you have a rubber dinghy with no motor, you don't have to get that registered, I
No.
guess. No.
No, just to have the life jacket. It'd almost be like a canoe or a.
Yeah, and depending on if she's talking a smaller boat, single, versus a larger boat that's using a dinghy for a transport boat, they're not under registration on that. So, but if it's a homemade vessel with a trolling motor or outboard, it needs to be registered. Yes.
All right, and I want to also get in some hunting questions and fishing questions. I mean, as far as what people are catching fishing-wise, what are you seeing right now?
I would say the big thing that people can take their family out and catch right now are bluegill. You can go get crickets and just go to any gravel bar on the lakes or some of the rivers, but some slow water, and throw a cricket over in a gravel bed, and you're going to catch bluegill. And you can catch them all day long. There's no limit on them. So you can take your family out, kids, and they can catch them all day long, have fun with it. That's probably the easiest thing to catch right now. Percy Priest right now, what have you seen people?
The hybrid fishing, it's hit or miss. There are certain locations where it's better than others. Largemouth bass are being hit quite a bit. Depths about 12 to 15 feet with crankbaits and things like that. A lot of catfish are being caught. Flatheads, channel cats, and like Dale said, the shell crackers and bluegill. I checked a gentleman last week. He was carrying 2 5-gallon buckets to his car full of shell crackers. They're really hitting.
Wow.
Fun little fish to catch.
Mm-hmm. And is there, on these lakes, are there lakes that are stocked, and what are they stocked with? And is that a big debate? But are any of these stocked, or is it just a natural? You just leave it up to nature now.
Your county, you're getting some striper that are coming up to the base of the dam spawning, and we stock a lot of those.
Yeah, all of our stripe. I used to work in fisheries when I first started, but with TWRA, we have our own fisheries division, whether it be Springfield Hatchery or Humboldt. But those hatcheries supplemental stock any bodies of water throughout the state, whether it be river or reservoir. I know around Nashville we do like a winter stocking, Shelby Park and Marybone Lake for rainbow trout, and like I said, we supplemental stock. So
some crappie, black-nosed crappie in some of our reservoirs. We'll stock. One of our biggest things this past year, we are going to stock more Florida string largemouth bass in the Tennessee River system, which we had a state record caught down in Chickamauga this past year, and so it got a lot of excitement for that fishery, and it was a Florida string bass, and I don't remember the weight on that, but it was around 15, right at 15 pounds. So it was a big fish, our new state record, and so that drew some excitement. So along that Tennessee River system, we are going to stock more of the Florida string largemouth bass because they get a little bit bigger than our native northern bass that we have here.
How's the overall population? And I guess if you didn't stock, those fish wouldn't be very prevalent. I guess that's why you
Some
stock.
places they wouldn't because of the different dynamics go into it, but the dams have kept a lot of fish from migrating upstream to spawn. So we'll supplemental stock depending on the type of fishery, the type of reservoir. And I know Brad had more to do with that when you were working as a technician as far as
I know
stocking.
just right there here in Nashville, I think they started a program a few years ago with the sturgeon. They're trying to reintroducing them just naturally up through the river, and some of them are actually tagged. So, but if you actually catch one of them or accidentally catch, you're supposed to immediately release it back. But they're trying to get them kind of back in the river systems before we had the dams. So.
And those are pretty big, aren't they?
Yeah, they can get pretty good size.
Huge.
Yeah, they're kind of older, prehistoric type fish that used to be around. So.
And a lot of people don't realize that we have a commercial fishery in this state also, and those people mainly target a lot of our catfish, a lot of our buffalo, but we also have a caviar industry, basically a roe industry with the paddlefish. So we have a paddlefish season, and our commercial fishermen are trying to catch those fish for their eggs for the caviar industry, which is something that people don't really think about.
No, you don't think about that at all.
Downtown Nashville, a net across, or in the Cumberland River, a net across parts of the river and catching these big fish.
Yeah.
They're trying to get caviar.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I wouldn't have thought that at all.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. So we're talking about boating and fishing. We'll expand the conversation just a tad when we come back to all hunting. If you have any questions, there's the number 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.